Tonight marks less than 10 days till the country turns 50 and is also the first night that Botswana Railways business passengers will get the opportunity to enjoy the comforts of the newly reintroduced but much improved sleeper coaches. A service that members of academia, government and private sector who converged in Francistown for the Business Botswana National Business Conference that took place from the 11th till the 13th of this month probably would have enjoyed. Before this, when traveling for business, Botswana had the option of taking the bus, driving themselves or flying, none of which provide the space to have group business meetings, to lie down and sleep and so on, as we were recently shown on the train. We speak to the CEO of Botswana Railways, Mr. Dominic Ntwagai, about the new offerings for the business traveler on Botswana Railways. Also on the program, we speak to the chairman of Business Botswana, Lokwalo Letamusianyane, as to recent newspaper allegations that have labeled his institution's National Business Conference a talk shop. It's all on tonight's program of First Issues. Welcome back to the program. As to begin tonight's proceedings, we begin by presenting the very candid conversation we had with Business Botswana Chairman Lokwalo Letamusianyane. We met up with him at Masa Center here in Gaborone CBD the other day to ask him about very recent newspaper reports that allege that a former Business Botswana chairman scathingly labeled the institution's National Business Conference a talk shop in which the same things are discussed year after year and not much gets done. This is what Mr. Musianyane had to say.
The National Business Conference deals with both topical issues as well as developmental issues that project the future of Botswana. The National Business Conference attracts high-level government officers, heads of parastatals, heads of private sector businesses, and discusses issues at a very high level. The National Business Conference sets the agenda for the next 2 years. Of course, we come up with resolutions from the National Business Conference on set agenda. Those resolutions are resolutions from what has been set up as agenda, whose intention is to set the tone for the next 2 years. That is the tone of the interaction between government and the private sector. We engage with government at local high-level consultations, that is sector leaders in the private sector talking to government. If issues are not resolved, they are escalated to high-level consultative council. Someone looking at it from outside is like someone looking at Ministry of Education from outside saying they're talking about education all the time they meet. What else have they got to talk about? These issues must be discussed and shaped, improved, and until we get to Botswana to where Botswana wants to go.
So in your view, you're saying there are quantifiable, measurable things that have come.
The setting up of paper is as a result of the National Business Conferences. The setting up of CEDA, LEA, all these organizations were set up to improve access by our SMMEs to, for instance, access to finance. We'll continue to talk about the same topics because there are economic imperatives around those issues. And until we have leveraged on them and privatized some, until we have improved the ease of doing business in Botswana. Look at it. We have been talking about the ease of doing business and how you measure the ease of doing business of a country. You use exactly the same imperatives year in, year out, all the time. We will still be doing the same in 10 years. So it's not a talk shop, and those who say it's a talk shop is because they are not watching the space as things change.
It's very interesting to hear you say that bodies alike of Bepa have come from the
Yes.
conversations had and the agendas set by the National Business Conference.
Maybe I should mention that we, as Business Botswana, are representing the private sector. We are not the private sector. We are the voice of the private sector. We advocate for the private sector. We look at policy formulation and influence the government to ensure that in formulating policy, the government looks at improving the way business is done in the country.
Takes your realities on
Exactly,
the ground
exactly.
into consideration. What of more recent achievements? Can we point to anything that has come from the business conference in the past 2 or 3 years?
2 conferences before this one, there was a recommendation to prepare a private sector development strategy. Which strategy was prepared? Private sector development strategy, PSDS. That strategy was undertaken in Botswana. We managed to source finance from the Commonwealth Foundation. The strategy was put together. It recommended a partnership between the government and the private sector and the EU. The 3 parties, Business Botswana, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Ministry of Finance, got together and formed the private sector development program. And the CDE, which is a committee of ACP countries, African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries, and the EU, forming what is called the CDE, is the body that then implemented the private sector development program, coming out of the private sector development a strategy that was a resolution from a national business conference. Now, look at the rest is history. The private sector development program has now been offloaded to Business Botswana. It is not with CDE anymore, Center for Development Enterprises, which, as I said, is a body that is composed by ACP countries and the EU. Now, look at that. The private sector development program and its achievement are common knowledge in Botswana. And that's what we are doing right now as I'm talking to you. That is a department or a section of Business Botswana, having been offloaded from the CDE. And we sat in the same committees with the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade and Industry, and ourselves. Now, that is a huge achievement. The coaching of various SMMEs, the development of the beef value chain, the tourism value chain, the horticultural value chains, and so on. There's quite a lot that has come out of that. The development of the SMMEs, there's a study on microfinancing for SMMEs. There's the development of women entrepreneurial organizations and so on. There's been, through this private sector development program, we've accessed finance from Chanel Foundation that specifically focused at training women and ensuring startups, that women startups are a reality. A lot of achievement, and it's very recent, it's current, and as I'm telling you right now, it is under the arm of Business Botswana.
Welcome back to the program. As in this segment, we're given a guided tour of the services and amenities now available to the traveling business person on Botswana Railways by the very proud CEO himself. What I'd like to know is what you have in offer for the business traveler specifically, starting with this room we're currently in?
Firstly, for a business person, we expect them to either hold a mini conference. This is called the conference room, where we are. Basically, they can have a meeting sitting up to about 6 people, where they can discuss business. Remember that the train is running between Lobasa and Francistown, so that's quite a long journey. If you are running day trains, basically also still a long journey because you're looking about at least 6 hours on the train. So we expect that the people during the day should be able to discuss business. In the evening, because we leave slightly at night, they can still have maybe 1 hour or two to basically to conclude the business issues before they go for the meetings at that destination. So what we've got is basically very comfortable with the power plugs for the computers, and also you can use a laptop to connect to the screen. And that screen basically you can actually use it basically as a normal screen for the laptops.
Okay.
So it's not just a TV, but the TV is the entertainment side of issues. So that's basically what you have here. In the more relaxed mood, I think we'll go through the train. You'll see where they can relax during the train, during the venue, to take a few drinks, to eat, and so forth and so forth. And then if it's at night, they've got the luxury to actually go and literally sleep on the train. We've got beds, and that's why we've got the first class sleeper coach. Yeah. Also, you've got internet, which is basically complementary on the business class side. We are going to introduce some internet in the standard class as well going forward.
It's good to know that business can still continue. So from a more formal setting, I'm sure there's more casual places where people can interact and talk over food in a more relaxed setting.
That is correct. I mean, it's basically, I would say, a train whereby you can do what models you like. The only thing that maybe people don't like is that don't allow alcohol in the train. That's the only thing, so that you can maybe try to control the behavior so that doesn't get out of hand. That's the only thing.
Right, I guess let's see more then. So from the formal settings of the boardroom and other compartments where we had the display screens, internet, and place for serious discussion, where have you brought me now? Where is this and what is all of this?
This is our premium class. This top of the range, what we've got offered this train. And what happens is that here we call it a sleeper class. So there's a compartment, it sleeps 4. There's another compartment which sleeps 2. So I'll take you to other compartments where you actually see how all these banks come to be a bed, and then it sleeps 4, maximum 4. Now, the reason why this premium class, there is no coach in the world which is like this. This is its first design in the world to be like this. And we thought this was the best design. We like it because you can see the finish. There's a place for the drinks. You can charge internet, and then you can make into.
I see this.
Yeah, you can charge. You can also maybe wash your face in the morning. You've got a wash basin in front there. You can read when your colleagues are sleeping because you can switch off the lights. You've got your own control.
Oh.
Yeah, those are reading lights.
Okay.
And then for each, you can read when you're sleeping at that level or when you sleep at the top. Then you've got also the temperature control for this particular compartment, because some people, they feel a little bit cold, some feel a little bit hot, so you can actually more or less control, but this is basically the top of the range. And you can now also sit as if they were sitting in a normal cushion at home, so that's what makes the difference. The earlier versions of the sleeper coaches, it was just one long bank, and then it was very difficult for you to sleep. Now, basically what happens is that I can be able to pull even the top. Somebody can sleep when somebody's still resting, if they don't want to sleep. I can just demonstrate that very quickly for you, and then take it from there. You can just be there.
Because my head can't get around the fact. Oh, I'm sitting.
No, you just sit.
I'm carrying on with my business.
You can go there with your business, and then you can have some lights. You can read. You can carry on, and the other
my colleague sleeps.
Sleeping. So that's what the headroom is all about.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. Me
There's a
with
lot of
my African head wrap, we need this kind of
You
space.
see, we make sure that this is a good enough headdress for a normal African person, tall enough, you know, and then that's basically what makes it different. You don't feel crushed. Even the city can tell there's quite a lot of space. And in the evening, actually, they will come and actually do the bed for you. We're going to show you how the bed is made, so you sleep like properly at home.
Sheets and all.
Sheets and all. And then also you've got a curtain, whereby once you start sleeping, then you can actually just close up the light and it gets very dark. Then it feels like you're sleeping. And you've got also the security in there, whereby you close this side and also you can actually lock in the top. And then nobody can open when they're outside, because they will only be able to go that route. And that's about it, you know. So those are some of the security elements that are there.
So for somebody who's looking to sleep up here, how do they get there?
I've got a ladder which basically hooks on top of the bunk and is very secure. Then you won't fall. You know, then you use it to sleep.
After a long day of work,
After a long day of work,
get a good night's rest
Yeah.
for whatever activities you will be traveling for as a
Yeah.
business person in the morning.
we-
Brush your teeth, wash your face.
that is correct. Currently, Botswana have not been exposed to this. We'll actually be launching this for paying passengers on the 20th of September. Then they can book anytime from now, you know, to basically go to Francetown. In each and every train, I've got plus or minus 26 per coach beds, which basically people will to sleep in there. So in a coach, I'll be able to move slightly over 50, 52 maximum people who are sleeping in the train. So that makes a difference.
You can bring you and then the entire team. Nobody needs to get left behind.
You can have the entire team. We've been testing these coaches for a while. We're very happy with the performance, the ride, you know, the aircon and everything. So we're happy with that. That's why we're launching it on the 20th, basically to paying customers.
And the Wi-Fi continues even to
The Wi-Fi continues to sleeper coaches because this is the premium of the business class, really.
Thank you for staying with us as we continue to look at the services and amenities now available to the Botswana Railways business passenger. So for daytime passengers who can't sleep modeling like some of us like to do during the day, this looks like a more comfortable setup within the business offering. Where are we now and what is available to the business traveler here?
The way we have designed this train is that we have allowed the business travel, limited seating as you can see, to come and relax around the buffet side, where they can maybe have some few drinks or some snacks or food, you know, or just have a chat in the business lounge. This we call a business lounge, which is basically only accessible to the business class passengers as well as the sleeper class passengers. Now, we've got a buffet on each and every train, so this facility is available. And what happens here is that you come, you relax, you don't have to buy and go to your seat. Whereas in the standard, you actually buy and you go to your seat. You know, so this gives a little bit of a better service offering. Rather than you sleep there, maybe you want to be with your friends or whatever, then you can come
Relax
and
around.
relax around.
Instead of being in seats.
That's correct.
Speaking over your shoulder.
That's correct. And then the other thing you can see that this more like a cozy sitting, this more like a, you know, casual sitting, you know, but still keeping the status of the business class.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
I
also
still
the
have
leg room.
my tablet table and put a meal here as well.
That's
You
correct.
can get the conversation,
You
keep
know,
the conversation.
Yeah. So that's basically the whole essence of this side. You know, you'll see that as you go towards the standard class, then that facility is not available because you pay slightly more, you know, in the business class. Therefore, you need a little bit more amenities to enjoy as well. You know, so that's basically the difference. You can still access internet this side. You know, actually, the whole of this coach will access internet. You know, complimentary as well. So we're quite happy with that kind of a service offering. Because really, if you ask somebody to pay a little bit more money, and you've got a little bit more, much more leg room on the business class, you know, as opposed to the standard as well. So those are some of the offerings that we've got going with basically where you want to be.
And I suppose overnight as well, this makes a great place to have dinner as opposed to in your seat.
That is correct. Because where we are now is that you can actually buy a meal, hot, cold, coffee, tea, on the buffet, and you can just sit here. And then you don't have to go to your room or anything. You can actually just relax, take it here, and then go and relax after that.
So for somebody watching at home and is very impressed by the food, the service, and the amenities, how do they now book? How do they get to enjoy business class travel on Botswana Railways?
You can actually get your ticket either by coming directly to the station and buying a ticket, or you can go through the internet in our website.
Okay.
And then you can book and pay through credit card or through debit card, and then it will actually reserve the seat for you. Once you do that, it actually books the space for you in the train. So we normally advise that we don't sell the tickets 15 minutes before the train departs. Why? Because that have got a tendency of delaying trains. So we prefer that people at the station around 30 minutes before, so that at least within 15 minutes they're through with the buying. But we prefer pre-booking, because what happens on the pre-booking, we expect to have your identity card. We expect you to give us your contact numbers, so that in case there's anything, we can either phone you or phone your next of kin or whatever the case might be, and also advise you on what are the issues are. More importantly is that once you are in the train, as I said, you have to buy the food. The food is basically got an a la carte menu. We decided with Botswana is that let outsource that service, so that at least professionals in that service they get through, and then concentrate with running.
You do trains, they do food.
We do train, they do food.
Stick to your
we
name.
stick to our best, our strengths, So that's what we do.
Thank you for tuning in and staying with us for the duration of tonight's episode. We have now come to the part where we read out the winning comment in response to last week's show featuring young female entrepreneurs. Oliver wrote in via our Facebook page that he has been taking small businesses for granted, but after watching the previous episode, he realized that one can make a living out of it. He says one can start where they are, use what they have, and do what they have to do. With exactly 10 days to go till Botswana turns 50, you can add to your festivities by sending your winning comment and receiving some first issues goodies. I have sampled the Wi-Fi, the food, the boardroom, the lounge. Now it's time to sample the bed. To try it out. This is the Botswana Railways sleeper coach. So from me, Nametso Samagula and the team behind First Issues, wish you a fantastic evening and great viewing. Till next week, good night.